A call to order the meeting of the Wilsonville City Council for May 6, 2026 at 7 p.m. The city recorder, please call the roll.
Councillor Shevlin.
Here.
Council President Berry.
Here.
Councillor Cunningham.
Here.
Councillor Skoll.
Here.
Mayor O'Neill.
Here. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Council President Berry, can I have a motion to approve the following order of agenda?
I move to approve the following order of the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motions to approve the following order of agenda has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Good evening, and I'm hoping you are enjoying the May weather, although that 90s plus day was a little tough for me. I want to take a moment to recognize the recent passing of Loretta McColeman. Loretta was actively involved in the Wilsonville Rotary Club and best known for her work with youth and on peace building, including being a champion for the Wilsonville Peace Zone. Loretta's generosity, humor, and heart are reflected in the passion she had for serving the community and the world. Our condolences go out to her family. I'd like us to take a few moments of silence in honoring her memory and contributions to our community. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that our primary election is approaching on May 19th. Voting is one of the most direct and meaningful ways we participate in shaping our community. If you haven't yet received your ballot, it should arrive in the next few days. If not, contact your county election office to see what the issue is so you can vote. Ballots can be returned by mail, postmarked no later than 8 p.m. on May 19th, or dropped off at an official location. As far as that postmark thing, if you try to mail, I'd rather recommend dropping it off because there's a lot of talk nationally on when that postmark is applied. So just make sure you get it in time. Wilsonville residents located in Clackamas County can use the drive-through ballot drop-off here at City Hall until 8 p.m. on Election Day. For those residents in Washington County, the nearest drop site is at 12th and City Hall at 18880 Southwest Martinazzi Avenue. Please be sure to return your ballot to the correct county to avoid delays. As former President Abraham Lincoln said, elections belong to the people. And as former President Barack Obama reminded us, the most important office in a democracy is the office of citizen. I encourage every eligible resident to take part and make your voice heard on state and local issues. May votes here customarily over the years have been light. People don't show up. I'd like to see us break a world record on showing up. I really would. So please tell your neighbors to vote, and let's exercise a critical part of our democracy. We have two proclamations tonight, one for Mental Health Awareness Month and the other for Building Safety Month. In the interest of time, I will not read the full proclamations, but they can be found in the council packet. I will briefly summarize both. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, a time to remind ourselves that mental health is an essential part of overall health. Mental health can affect people of all ages, backgrounds, and walks of life. Talking openly about mental health challenges can reduce stigma and make sure people get the help and support they need. I encourage you to check in on friends, family members, coworkers, and classmates. You don't have to have all the answers. Listening without judgment can make a difference. Here in Clackamas County, we're fortunate to have NAMI Clackamas. They offer free peer support groups as well as education for family members and caregivers of those dealing with mental health challenges. You can learn more about NAMI Clackamas services at namicc.org. You can also watch the 2023 DEI Speaker Series event recognizing World Mental Health Day on the city's YouTube channel. If you or someone else is experiencing a mental health crisis, help is available 24/7. You can call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988 or contact the Clackamas County Behavioral Health Crisis Line at 503-655-8585. As we recognize Mental Health Awareness Month, let's commit to kindness, compassion, and connection, not just this month, but all year long. Together, we can help build a community where mental health is supported and prioritized. May 2026 is Building Safety Month. This year's theme is Built to Last. With the beautiful weather this week, hopefully we're all spending more time outside, but we still spend a lot of time in buildings, at home, work, school, shopping, dining, worshiping, recreating, and more. It's essential to make sure buildings are safe and long-lasting. Building safety includes structural integrity, accessibility for people of all ages and abilities, and making sure that building systems like electricity and plumbing are adequate. Throughout the month, Wilsonville's Building Division will be highlighting different safety themes with tips relating to fire safety at home, water safety and conservation, disaster resiliency, ADA accessibility, and energy efficiency for the benefit of the climate and our wallets. Many thanks to Wilsonville's building official, Dan Carlson, and his team who help us every day to make sure Wilsonville's buildings are safe. Getting a permit and an inspection may feel like a hassle, but it can save time, money, injury, and lives by preventing a future disaster. Our next City Council meeting will be on Monday, May 18th, starting at 7 p.m. The balance of my report on local and regional meetings, including a recent mayoral forum, is included in my written materials, which I will provide to the city recorder at the end of the meeting. Next, we turn to the Budget Committee appointment. I appoint Andrew Engel to the recent Budget Committee vacancy for a term beginning May 4th, 2026 to December 31st, 2027. City Council President Berry, can I have a motion to ratify the appointment?
I move to ratify the appointment of Andrew Engel to the Budget Committee for a term beginning May 4th, 2026 to December 31st of 2027.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I have a couple comments.
Okay, Councilor Cunningham.
I'll defer to Council President Berry for now.
Well, okay, go ahead, Councilor Berry.
I would just like to say that I've received a few emails. I haven't had a chance to respond yet. A couple comments were, why aren't we appointing somebody that has a financial background? And on face value, those comments, caught my attention, and I started thinking about it. And we do have financial people that are preparing the budget with the city on staff and also on the Budget Committee. And that, in my opinion, I think a strong committee is where we have representatives that represents the entire city. represents people from different neighborhoods, from different socioeconomic groups, age groups, interests, professions. And I think that Andrew would bring a lot to the table on the Budget Committee. He's a professional engineer and has a lot of expertise in that sort of situation where he can look at city projects and understand them from an engineering point of view. And he's a person that comes to the meetings and participates, shows up, and seems to be a really nice person, although I don't know him personally. So thank you.
Any other comments? Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you. I've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Engel, and I found him to be a very worthy candidate to serve our city in this capacity. Now, I don't know how old Mr. Engel is, but he's certainly a lot younger than I am. And I see someone like Mr. Engel as someone that represents the future of our city. I hope that he has a successful run, if selected, for the Budget Committee and continues to give back to the city for many, many years. And that's where I see the future of our city. As Council President Barry said, we have to have all different ages and all different backgrounds and experience. We do have the professionals on the staff for the budget, and I appreciate what Mr. Engel would bring to the Budget Committee and to hopefully future opportunities with our city. Thank you.
Councilor Skoll.
I would echo the sentiment. I've worked with Mr. Engel. Actually, I think we served on the Science Fair Committee together as judges. Had an excellent time with him. He paid attention to detail. Had quite a bit of discussion with him. He knows a lot about what's going on in the city. He's very articulate, and for a team of, I think there was a team of 4 or 5 of us that basically were judges for the day. After interviewing and doing analysis on the projects that we looked at, we all came out in the same place, and I thought that was kind of cool. So I think he would make a great contribution, and I think he would make a great add to the committee.
Thank you. Councilor Cunningham.
On January 22nd, 2026, during the City Council work session, Mayor O'Neill said this: "To ensure transparency and to avoid issues related to serial meetings, I have asked the city attorney and staff to assist in establishing a clear process by which city councilors may provide their input prior to any appointment decision I make. That input will be shared with me in a structured way during a city council work session before the appointment process begins. In other words, before I make the final decision, I will take those recommendations under advisement." Mayor O'Neill, was there any opportunity for city council to provide their input prior to this appointment? The answer is no. We were not given an opportunity to do that. So that was said on January 22nd. By my math, it's been almost 4 months. That process did not occur. This was in response to the proposals I made in order to try to make our appointment process less subjective and much more objective. So after that, I took the opportunity to go out and, as city council members are allowed to do, but I don't think has ever occurred in the history of the city, to interview the applicants myself. My interview questions were simple. There were 3 of them. The first question, a question that I've always been asked in every job interview I've always been in: please describe your education, training, and relevant experience, and how would they inform your service on the city's budget committee? The second question: how do you view the roles and responsibilities of a budget committee member, particularly given that the city's code provides limited detail? And the third question: have you reviewed any of the city's budget? If so, what observations stood out to you? And if there was any extra time during the interview, the applicants were welcome to ask questions, and have conversation if they chose to. I interviewed all 7 applicants. I spent half my Friday doing so, and with the expectation that, given the mayor's statement on January 22nd, 2026, that I would have the opportunity to be an equal part of this process. That was the promise made on January 22nd. That didn't happen. Furthermore, I gained quite a bit of understanding of each of the applicants and their relevant education, training, and experience. City Recorder Valise, if you could provide or put the PowerPoint that I sent to you up. I don't call anybody out on this. It's just applicant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But as I speak, if you can cycle it through at an easy reading pace. It's very clear that almost everybody provided some sort of level of financial budgeting, accounting experience. Now, I don't know that anybody up here on the city council is a CPA, is an accountant, is in finance. Maybe some touch points with it, but none of us up here are subject matter experts. And the budget committee is a advisory board. It helps us decide things. And when I'm not an expert in something and we have an advisory board, to me that would mean that we would use that advisory board to get good advice from people who know a little bit more about that subject than we do. And yeah, we have staff that are great professionals. They know what they're doing. But when we have an opportunity to have an expert weigh in with a second set of eyes from the community, I think it's important that we take those opportunities. Those are the applicants. Almost all of them created a nexus in their interview and/or in their applications that showed that they had a focus of some sort towards budgets, finance, accounting. One person with, right here, applicant number 1, over 30 years, large companies. I can't understand why we would turn down people who have supervised and been a part of billion, with a B, billion-dollar budgets, MBAs in business management, certified public accountants. Are we really going to base this on creating a diversity of age? I didn't know that we were supposed to take people's ages into account. I know that one of the people listed in these applicant short resume lists was asked a question by the mayor of how old he was during his interview. He was asked the question, do you have any complaints about city leadership? He asked the question, does anything concern you about Wilsonville and the way things were handled? Is this a loyalty test, or are we finding the best people to serve our budget committee? Our budget committee is one of our most important committees in our city. If anybody's peeked into this year's budget, it shows declining general fund. It repeats the same warning message we had last year, that without doing something, without throwing the brakes on, without steering the ship in another direction, without finding more money somewhere, we are going to face this declining fund. And if we don't do any of those things, you all are next. We're going to go to your pocketbooks and take your money to fix our general fund. Mr. Height came to a council meeting, and he gave public input. And it really makes me wonder, if you come to this council meeting and you speak out, what happens to you? Are you going to be the next one rejected? Because Mr. Badillo came to the meeting on January 5th and brought criticism of the board appointment process as well. He also stated that he was asked inappropriate questions during his interview. He was critical of the mayor. Is this what we do to people when they speak out against the city and disagree with the mayor? The person who was selected tonight has come and given testimony and public input at our public meetings. Guess what? His was in favor of the city and what the city is engaged in, and it was in opposition to Measure 3-632, which you've all heard that my 4 counterparts up here are also in opposition to. So are we putting yes men on these boards? Is that what we're doing? You've all now been able to see a couple times the resumes, the education, training, and experience of these people. Is this who you would want? I mean, is this what we're doing? This is frustrating for me, and I know it's frustrating for our community.
Thank you, Councilor Cunningham, for sharing. Thank you, Councilor Cunningham, for sharing your perspective, although I disagree with some of the characterizations that are made. I addressed how I make appointment decisions in detail during the January 22nd, 2026 work session, so I'll try to keep this brief. Under Oregon law, the Budget Committee requirement is straightforward. Citizen members must be qualified electors of the city. It cannot be officers, agents, or employees of the city. There is no requirement for any particular profession. The Budget Committee is not an audit body, and it is not an employment position. It is comprised of the City Council and an equal number of citizens at large established under Oregon law to provide community oversight, ask questions, and reflect on the community's priorities. The city's financial work is handled by professional staff and independently audited by a licensed accounting firm. That audit, in fact, was completed successfully about 5 months ago. A strong budget committee is not defined by a single discipline. It functions best with a mix of perspectives, supported by staff's technical expertise, and focused on judgment, temperament, community perspective, priorities, and trade-offs. This vacancy arose after the last appointment cycle, and all applicants had already been interviewed by me at that time. Before the recent resignation of an attorney committee member, the committee included 3 lawyers, including myself. We're now down to 2. With this appointment, I'm adding an experienced mechanical engineer, someone engaged in the community and who has completed the Civics Academy, something that I explain is very important to bring balance alongside the existing legal, accounting, and community expertise already on the committee. I sought input from our finance department, and they concurred with my choice. I thought Mr. Engel provided a clear perspective on his profession and his application that fits well with this budget committee role. He said, engineering is, quote, math and science, plus communication and good decision-making. With that, I will call for the vote. All those in favor for the motion, say aye. Aye.
I have more.
Well, you're done. All those, no. You had your word. I get the last word on this one. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Point of order.
Point of order is, you want more time? It is denied. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I think most of this city is opposed, as am I.
Okay, the motion passes 4-1.
No kings.
Turning now to communications.
No kings.
Be quiet, please. Turning now to communications, Board President Russ Axelrod and Executive Director Britta Manfield are here to provide us with an update on the work of the Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition, a nonprofit group that the city participates in who is seeking to designate a national heritage area along the Willamette River from roughly Lake Oswego to Dayton. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. Is the mic on? Can you all hear me okay? Great. Well, I'm Britta Mansfield. This is Russ Axelrod, our board president. We both represent the Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition. As Mayor O'Neill said, we are a nonprofit organization. We are, let's see if I can click forward on our presentation here. There we go. We are seeking National Heritage Area designation, and we're here to, oh, sorry, okay. Hang on, technical difficulties. Zoom, okay. Oh, it's up here. Share, there we go. This one, there we go. And then I think I should be able to hit present. And, hang on, slideshow, here we go. There we go. Hopefully, there we go. Zoom is seeing this. Great. It's been a few years since we've presented for your council, so we wanted to provide an update. We try to do this as often as council wants, annually, less or more as needed. But we'd love to let you know who we are, talk about some of our recent work, and really highlight our upcoming advocacy to promote our national legislation to finalize our designation. We only have a few minutes, so we'll skip some of this because I've already mentioned it. But overall, as an organization, our mission is to lead efforts to enhance, assist, and promote the heritage area. And again, we represent 56, correct, Russ? 56 river miles of the Willamette River. So we do stretch from Lake Oswego up basically to Kaiser at Willamette Mission State Park, and we work with cities on both sides of the river through that entire region. Our vision is that this geographic area becomes a place where residents and visitors experience the places, stories, and abundance of culture and history. There's much culture and history here in the area. There we go. And we want everybody to know about it, both the people who live here in Wilsonville, in Newburgh, in Dayton, in West Lynn, in Lake Oswego, and people who come and visit. That's one of the huge pulls to the National Heritage Area program. You here in the council chambers are not seeing the presentation anymore. There it is. But National Heritage Areas are a branch of the National Park Service. They are designated by Congress as places where natural, cultural, and historic resources combine to form a cohesive and nationally important landscape. They further the mission of the National Park Service by fostering community stewardship, especially at the local level, and promoting heritage tourism largely. So here's a map of our region. You can see the kind of green shaded area is all of the area that we represent. We believe there is a cohesive story here. We'll see some main themes in a moment, but we want to share this story of industrial strength and growth, of agriculture. We'll get to that slide right here. Sharing the story of the Willamette's influence. So starting all the way back with the Missoula floods or the Ice Age floods, telling some of the story of Native Americans, and then moving into the agricultural history that is so rich throughout this whole valley area, and looking at Western settlement and how that moved a large portion of the nation out here to the West Coast and shaped what became the 50 United States that we have today. And looking specifically at the contribution of the Willamette River with governance and industry, and looking at the settlement of upriver communities like Wilsonville and how industry grew because of the resource that the river was. So those are some of the major, not all, but some of the historic themes that we like to talk about and share. And Wilsonville brings its own perspective and own rich history that we want to make sure is preserved and promoted as much as possible. Some of our current work is right now largely focusing on federal advocacy to push our bill forward. It takes an act of Congress to become a national heritage area. I believe we have a very strong draft bill that we would love to see introduced in this Congress and more likely passed in the next Congress, but we're working with our federal legislators to raise awareness and gather support. We are also operating a cultural center in West Lynn, and again, we want to leverage that not just to support the community of West Lynn, but really to support all of the other communities in the heritage area and get them some additional exposure. We have a community-curated exhibit right now that has highlighting 9 other organizations, largely from outside of the West Lynn area, and giving them some more exposure to hopefully gather visitors when they pass through West Lynn, but really send them out to places like Wilsonville and to Newburgh, where there are historic sites that maybe don't get the same exposure as places closer to the Portland metro area. We have a very interesting historic photo business that we operate. I encourage you to check out Old Oregon Photos. There's thousands of historic resources there that have been interpreted and are actually available for purchase. And then we do some regional events, largely at Historic City Hall, but we love to partner with organizations throughout the river to get people engaged with heritage wherever possible. Here's a very brief timeline of Historic City Hall. The work for this started actually nearly a decade ago, but we just were finally able to move in about a year ago, and we started operations in earnest in October and launched some new exhibits this spring. We'll have new ones coming in next year and expanding as needed. And then NHA designation is our big push and truly why we exist, and I think we're very excited to be on the cusp of some great progress with this. We're working with Greg Leo, who I think most of you are familiar with, so we're very excited to be partnering with Greg to hopefully bring all of this work to fruition. We're doing a lot of tribal outreach because we do engage with so much tribal history throughout our region. We'd really love to have the support of Oregon tribes in the work that we do and make sure that their history is being honored through all that we do. So that's a key piece of our outreach right now. We're reaching out to local governments like yourselves to bring you all on board. Thank you for your partnership and make sure you're all up to speed about what we're doing. And then we're fundraising to keep our efforts going. We have a very small staff and a building that we do have some costs, and so that's another big piece of what we're doing. But we'd love to see everybody stay involved. We've been working with Everett Wild, your government affairs staff member, and he's been a wonderful addition to our board of directors. He has Wilsonville's best interest in mind, it seems, at our board meetings and is a great advocate for the city and making sure that your story is shared. We're always looking for volunteers, so if you know community members, members of your local historical society that would love to have a broader reach, we're always looking for more volunteers. And then we would love to have updated support letters. We've had many of our cities throughout our region provide resolutions from city councils and also offer us letters of support that we can share with our legislators to really help push our national legislation forward. So if you're interested in getting involved, there are plenty of ways to do so. That concludes my planned presentation, but Russ and I are happy to answer any questions and really very thankful for the long-term support that we've had from Wilsonville and would love to see that continue.
Any comments? Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you, and thank you so much for your presentation. My family and I have had an opportunity to spend some time on the river, particularly down near the falls, and it's such a beautiful area. It's nice to see that there's still effort moving forward on this, and I certainly would support something that my fellow councilors may choose to do in the way of a resolution or some other action or activity, both as a group and then individually to be able to support your efforts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council President Berry.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I was able to attend an event at the Historical City Hall that the City of West Lynn hosted. And I was really impressed with the photos and the history that you're pulling together and putting up for public display. Really appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
If I could add one other just point of that, one of the things we're working on this year, back in 2015, there was a joint memorial at our state legislature in full support of establishing Oregon's first National Heritage Area. And along with our legislation that we're taking to Congress that Britta had mentioned, we're also pursuing our legislature this year to renew the memorial and get a designated message out from our state legislature to support our advocacy. So that's another major effort too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Cunningham.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I really appreciated it. What are some ways that you see this project benefiting and enhancing Wilsonville and how Wilsonville can do the same back at it?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I think there's two large benefits that I see and a whole host of others. One of them is the historic preservation side. You guys have had a historical society that's done some really great work, and we'd love to support that and amplify that work. So just preserving the culture here, the story of the river specifically in Wilsonville is unique as it is in all of the communities, and we want to see that preserved and broadcast to as broad an audience as possible. So we want to support the good work that's already happening in Wilsonville. I think the other side is linking into tourism and the economic benefits that can come from that. The rough estimate is that for national heritage areas, there's a 5-to-1 return on investment of federal dollars. So becoming a national heritage area does come with some federal funds, and that usually brings a noticeable economic return to the communities that participate in those programs. On top of that, there's the tourism benefit of being part of the National Park Service. So you're tapping into a whole new tourism sector that can be brought into your community and be helping your businesses and communities thrive in a new way here. So we'd love to support that. Yeah.
Counselor Skoll.
Thank you for the presentation, very good. Just a point, a question, kind of an inquisitive question, relative to tourism. Any thoughts about bringing the paddle boat back?
Oh, I'd love to see that happen. A piece of this is supporting the works that the Locks Authority is doing to reopen the locks. We would absolutely love to see that happen and see river tourism up and down the Willamette River. I'm
Right.
all in favor of that. That'd be fantastic.
I
I mean,
think
I say that speaking personally, but I think professionally we can say we'd love to see a project like that happen.
Yeah, and looking at your map there's several different segments you could focus on and have different tours and all that with some type of paddle boat, dinner boat, who knows?
There's lots of
They do a lot of
opportunity
that
there.
out in the valley, out by Pendleton and all that, up and down the river out there. So it would be pretty neat to do that here.
Be very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also a vice chair, actually, of the Willamette Falls Locks Authority. And we are talking with boat owners and restoring the river in that context to many. And there's great interest all across the state and across the nation, really. So we're really looking forward to that kind of renewed energy and use of the river. Yeah.
Thank you.
I also concur with that. I think it's a really critical thing for tourism here. I think we benefit as a city here. And so it's nice to know that Greg Leo's involved. He does great work. So appreciate you sharing that, but I concur. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll now move to community input and announcements portion of the City Council meeting agenda. This is an opportunity for visitors to address the City Council on any matter concerning city business or any matter over which the council has authority. It's also the time to address items not on the agenda or items on the agenda that are not scheduled for a public hearing. Staff will make every effort to respond to questions raised during community input as quickly as possible following the meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When making your remarks, please address the council as a whole and not any one member individually. You may use the podium or sit at the tables in front of council, whatever makes you most comfortable. Please speak into the microphone at either location. To comment before council in person or virtually, you must sign up by completing a speaker card at the side of the room or by using the raise hand feature in Zoom. Please provide your name, address, and topic. Information on engaging with City Council can be found on the council webpage, wilsonvilleoregon.gov/City Council. As a reminder, when you begin your comments, please state your name for the record and your address, or indicate that your address is provided on your speaker card. Please know that community input is a time for the council to listen, receive feedback, and hear directly from the community. To keep that process fair and respectful to everyone, council members generally will not respond to individual comments during citizens' input. If we respond to one speaker and not another, it can create the impression that some viewpoints carry more weight than others. I do not believe that serves the public well. If follow-up is needed, staff or council members can connect with you after the meeting. Councilors are also free to share thoughts during council comments later in the meeting if they choose. You're also welcome to submit information in writing, by email, or to schedule a meeting with me or any member of the council afterwards. John Budayo.
Good evening, council. I arrived last night, probably about 10 o'clock from Honor Flight. A group of men, 100 years old to my age, and the conversations were very diverse. And some of them, their greatest effort was saying the key to life is having a good spouse and giving back to your community. And tonight, boy, I was really taken aback. I was really inspired to be here and to see and talk to people about my experience. And one thing they said is that, through and throughout the service is your word, how you treat others, and the future. I'm only 55, 56, and I was hanging around a 100-year-old vet, and he had lots of keys to life, enjoy things as they go and give back. And what I witnessed tonight was embarrassing. And again, this is probably my 5th time talking about this application process. If it's a big deal, the answers are easy. Take everybody that applies. If you want to have diversity and inclusion and all that you say and stand for, take them all. They don't have to input as much as you think. They might input a lot. But that interview process is, the application process is amazing. The interview process is where it's at. I've been around the world and I've seen at its worst. Mayor, I personally beg of you to control your temper and be civil. Our citizens are going to see this on full display. I feel like I'm talking to kids. What would it have cost you to hear Mr. Cunningham? Is it his diversity? Is his equity and representation? Is it his inclusion of his input? We have all these protests about no kings, and yet when it comes to somebody who is this adverse, it's just embarrassing to see my city represented this way. We cloak ourselves in accepting everybody, and when they ask for help, very few come forward. The Marine Corps ingrains in every single one of us, every single Marine, honor, courage, and commitment. The honor to do things that we know that need to be done, the courage to stand up for what's right, and then the commitment to our fellow man. You have the opportunity. Please make it right. God bless you all.
Mayor Pat Hensel.
Good evening, Mayor O'Neill, Council President, councilors, city employees. My name is Mary Pat Hensel. I live at 31518 Southwest Wildwood Court in the Maurice Landing neighborhood of Wilsonville. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with all who are gathered here and online. I begin by ringing this bell to center us all. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a community member, a City of Wilsonville Metro Community Enhancement Committee volunteer, a mother, grandmother, spouse, gun owner, survivor, and for 11 years, a fearless public health advocate for gun violence awareness. We are in this together. We are all caring people. We must not be numb to gun violence in any form, self-inflicted or as the victim of everything from road rage to domestic violence or unintentional death and major debilitating lifelong injuries. We must not be too busy or distracted from talking about this issue together and with family members because there is impact for all of us. In Oregon, we spend about $8.1 billion per year on gun violence, of which $89.1 million is paid by us, taxpayers. We also have a high level of death by intent, at 76% of the deaths by suicide. 490 people died, and 336 are wounded by attempts on their lives. 23% are homicides. Nationwide, this compares with an average of 54%. So ours in Oregon, 76, nationwide, 54. Lives lost too soon. Data is from every stat, and I will provide a sheet so that it can be in the records. This year, on June the 5th, we lift up and recognize those who have been harmed or have perished by gun violence for National Gun Violence Awareness Day. I wear orange to be seen and to be part of a larger group of citizens that recognizes gun violence and works to take actions to prevent all forms of violence. I invite you to wear orange too. In 6 weeks, I'll go to DC to listen to others tell their stories and to improve my skills in reaching people like you across Oregon. Prior to this trip, I will reach out and gather your thoughts and inputs to share. My passion is personal, and like so many other survivors, the familial ripple effect is painful. My younger brother ended his life with a gun. It still hurts. I say his name now, so you know he was important to me. Mark, you were loved. We were not aware he had a firearm. For the past 5 Mays here in Wilsonville, and again today, I have suggested ways for all of us to take action. My announcement is one of awareness building, and it's intended to be shared with your family, your friends, your neighbors. This year, my request of all of you is simple. Wear orange on June 5th to the 7th. Tell 3 residents about what you heard here.
Elizabeth Peters.
I'm Elizabeth Peters, and my address is on file. Last fall, the city asked the community what they want in a town center. That involves some focus groups and a survey to which 555 people responded. The answer was clear. People support a town center for local restaurants, retail, parks, and gathering spaces. What they value most about Wilsonville is the small town feel. On the other hand, housing variety and affordable housing ranked at the bottom as a reason for support, while density in town center was the top concern. I'm currently serving on the Town Center Building Height Waiver Task Force, and it's been an honor. Its purpose is to address the community members' concerns specific to the building heights. But I am concerned that the process is not reflecting that community input. The task force has struggled to access and use the results from last fall's outreach. In fact, we didn't receive a hard copy of that information until midway through the second meeting after discussions were well underway. At the same time, the options presented to us all assume height waivers will continue. Eliminating them was not presented as an option. Several options include 6-story buildings, and one would go beyond that, which does not align with what the community expressed. Even more concerning to me are small group discussion questions focused on increasing development flexibility and aligning with the existing town center plan, not on what residents said they want. So I'm raising this because we've been here before. If the process doesn't reflect community priorities, we risk asking voters to support a vision they've already signaled that they don't want and seeing another rejection. I urge the council to ensure this process is grounded in the community's input and that all options, including limiting or eliminating the height waivers, are meaningfully considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Ludlow.
City Council, thank you for your time. My name is John Ludlow, and all of my contacts are known by somebody in the city. I didn't come here to really talk about that much, but then I just saw this display. I've mentioned before that I chaired hundreds of county commission meetings, hundreds. You can go look at the videos. I've never seen somebody treat a fellow board member, commissioner, or council person like you have, Mr. Mayor. This all started with you when you made a promise when you were campaigning. You said, the first thing I'll do is convene an ad hoc committee about the future of town center. That was in, oh gosh, October, November, almost 2 years ago, and something happened. You got the fever to approve whatever stack and pack housing that Metro wants to do in our new maybe 7-story buildings at Town Center. And so you've got this fever and you're willing to counter it by being a bully, frankly, with everybody that comes before you, maybe in your secret meetings, maybe kicking the butts of those who voted wrong in one of your precious committees or commissions or board. But I've never seen the temerity in a leader like you to do what you did to a fellow council people. And I've been here a long time. I've watched every meeting, I've known every mayor in this city for 50 years. I've never seen anybody treat somebody that way. And I certainly wouldn't allow that as Clackamas County Commission Chair, ever. Go watch the tapes. It never happened on my watch. And besides that, people like Tootie Smith, Jim Bernard, Paul Savas, who served with me, would never allow that either. They would have called me on the carpet if I would have said what you said. So there's my 2 cents. I didn't really have it prepared. You just blew my mind. Good night.
Thank you. Valerie Booker.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Valerie Boucher, and...
Sorry, Valerie Boucher. I
That's okay. As I
apologize.
told you last time, I married my husband for that beautiful last name. My contacts are on record. The comments I have are a little moot at this point, but since I took the time with my husband to write them, I am going to share them. Wilsonville residents currently pay some of the highest tax rates in Oregon. We are facing increasing charges for sewer, stormwater, and parks. A large number of residents are concerned about how our tax dollars are being spent. The Budget Committee plays a pivotal role in those decisions. Careful consideration should be given to assure that well-qualified volunteers are selected for this committee. It has come to my attention and my husband's attention that, yet again, another underqualified person is in process. Remember, this is a little outdated now, to be appointed to the Wilsonville Budget Committee. Several highly qualified people have been bypassed. With all the critical financial decisions facing council, having qualified people on the Budget Committee is crucial. It is imperative that a qualified, experienced volunteer be appointed to the Budget Committee. I was going to say I'd like you to respond to my question of why does council continually overlook excellent candidates? Budget and financial experience should be the most important criteria in selection. Civic Academy participation, while desirable, should not be the primary criteria. And I'd just like to say that I am still reverberating from what transpired prior to the Willamette River presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Peters.
Good evening. Mayor and Council, my name is Rick Peters. My address is on file. I'm here to offer a fresh perspective on mind over matter. This council has directed a feasibility study for Town Center that assumes housing density equivalent to 4.5 times that of Villebois. The Building Height Waiver Task Force is now on the verge of allowing developers to build as many as a 6- or 7-story apartment in Town Center, potentially with public funding. Developers profit during construction and rarely stay as owners. They capture the rewards, but not the risks. You are urbanizing a suburban city. Despite clear community feedback last fall, residents don't want Metro, the state, or these outside developers turning Wilsonville into Portland. Yet the Height Waiver Task Force prioritized developer flexibility over clear citizen or resident input. Metro, the state, and developers, they don't mind because we don't matter. 4 council members have opposed giving the voters a binding and transparent vote on major public spending that reshapes our city. Meanwhile, that opposition is heavily funded by outside interests that stand to benefit and who supported at least one of your campaigns. Again, they don't mind because we don't matter. In recent budget appointments, highly qualified candidates have been passed over for individuals with limited to no background in budgeting, finance, or accounting, but with clear alignment with the mayor. It looks like cronyism has become the Wilsonville way. Prioritizing less qualified candidates undermines public trust. It risks the quality of financial oversight. But you don't mind because we don't matter. Wilsonville belongs to its residents. Not the state, not Metro, not staff, and not developers. You should mind because we do matter. Stop listening to outside interests. If you believe Wilsonville residents should determine our future, then vote yes on Measure 3-632 for local control. It would be about time. Thank you.
Wayne Hickey.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I originally was going to mention that I expected that most of the testimony tonight was probably going to be centered around the council appointing a new member of the Budget Committee. But obviously, you decided to usurp that and change your agenda so that you could get that up right up front before there was any testimony to the contrary. However, that was not what I was basically going to talk about. I want to make my comments about my observations as to how testimony is received. A person's name is called, they approach the microphone, they introduce themselves, and then they proceed to make their opinions made public. Immediately after they finish, the mayor says, "Thank you," and proceeds to call the next person. There never seems to be an active interest in what has been said. It's just a perfunctory thing the council has to endure. As a matter of fact, if you look at tonight's agenda detail as published, you'll notice that the motion to appoint Andrew Engel was already included in the agenda. And it says, and it's right there, motion. I move to ratify the appointment of Andrew Engel. Before anybody had any conversation about it, it's already pre-decided usually by 4 out of 5 members. Apparently, there's no need to have council discussion or weigh the testimony of the citizens of Wilsonville. It's always a foregone conclusion. Why do we bother if those who we voted for to protect our interests don't care about anything except their own interest? The mayor and the council will not answer any questions that are raised by residents, and it's every 4 years that we have an opportunity to have our say by casting our votes in the ballot box. Most small communities, and I've lived in a number of them, the council and the residents at council meetings have a certain back and forth within limits because of time constraints. Here, you put up with having to listen to what we say, and you don't really give a damn. You've already made your decisions, you've got your own agendas, and I think the community is going to finally recognize that, and that's not the way it's going to be in the future. And that's one of the reasons why we definitely need to pass Measure 3-632 to protect our voices, because you're not doing it. Thank you.
Do you have more?
Yeah, we have one online for Katie Dunwell.
Okay. Former Councilor Dunwell. Katie Dunwell, go ahead.
I'm Katie Dunwell. My address should be on record with the city. I'm once again appalled at the behavior of the majority of this council. It is clear that you are ignoring the reality that we are living in a divided city. one that each of you are exacerbating by your unwillingness to use a lens of fairness when looking at citizen feedback and unwilling to call our mayor on his behavior towards Councilor Cunningham this evening. Instead, the behavior of this mayor tonight directly illustrates a lack of diversity and inclusion that you speak so highly of. Virtual signaling with the State of the City slideshows, then selecting a new member to a critical community committee and one who agrees with your politics is an embarrassment, particularly when it's cloaked behind qualifications of attending Citizens Academy. Our city is fiscally weak, and the outlook for 2027 should be a concern for every citizen, and a budget committee with strong fiscal qualifications is critical right now. This city needs a healer, one who uses critical thinking skills and listens to all of our citizens. The majority of you on this council have ignored critical thinking and lean in on groupthink that supports this mayor. Your lack of true dialogue or support of a fellow councilor who is asking back for the floor makes each of you complicit. Mayor, you once again disappoint our citizens with an embarrassing temper and your inability to be the healer of this city. It makes you unqualified to continue to lead.
Thank you. Do you have any other? Okay. Okay, now turning to councilor comments, liaison reports, and meeting announcements. Council President Berry.
Thank you, and thank you to everybody that has taken their time to come and to send emails to voice your opinions. We do listen. So anyway, I'd like to say I haven't really voiced my opinion about the upcoming, or the vote on 3632. Is there's somebody talking out there? Thank you. Thank you to everybody that is taking. Okay.
Yeah, echo.
Should I continue?
Yeah, go. Are we all right to continue? Let's, when it started where you feel comfortable. Continue.
Okay. So anyway, I'd like to voice my opinion on the vote that's on the ballot for 3632. I have an urban planning background, and the way I see it, urban renewal is a financial tool that cities and public jurisdictions use so that they can get rid of urban blight. And we get a lot of comments that there's urban blight in the town center. And the best way to remove that is to use urban renewal money to build the infrastructure that's needed, which would be roads, water, and sewer, so that the developers can come in and build their projects. The city of Wilsonville has used urban renewal in so many cases at high success. We have examples in Villebois, we have the Wilsonville School Gym, we have Lowry Primary School. I mean, everywhere you look, there's projects that have been financed by urban renewal. So people have asked me, why is this on the ballot? You know, what is broken? What are we trying to fix? Because as an urban planner, I always try to define what is the problem that we're trying to resolve. And then once I identify the problem, then I look at the different ways that we can attack it and what comes up with a good resolution. But I can't figure out why this is being put on the ballot, because in my view, it's going to cause time delays and cost extra money for projects to eventually get done. And that the longer we wait, you're going to have blight, and then the blight is going to attract more blight. Because if you have a lease and you're sitting next to a vacant lot that has weeds and overgrown and just looks discouraging, and then you have an opportunity to move elsewhere, you'd probably take that opportunity to move elsewhere. So that is the reason why we need to attack the blight now and use our financial tool of urban renewal. So that's my comment on that. I'd also like to talk about some of the meetings that I've attended, meetings that I'm going to be attending, and then events that are coming up for the city. So on April 22nd, we had the city's volunteer appreciation event. It recognized that in the city, we have 400 volunteers that put in 15,000 hours of work time for the city that otherwise we'd be paying for. And their efforts are in the parks, they're in the libraries, they're across the city. We just really, really appreciate that. At that event, the Wilsonville Choral Society performed and provided the entertainment, so I'd like to say thank you again to them. On April 30th, I met with the Metro Enhancement Committee along with Councilor Shevlin. She's going to talk a little bit more about what we accomplished. It was a really good meeting and just gives you a positive feeling for the city. Upcoming on Wednesday, I'll be attending the Tourism Promotion Committee meeting, and then later on in the day, I'll attend the Budget Committee meeting, and then there's a couple more Budget Committee meetings scheduled the following week. Then for the city, my mouse is not working. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day for this Sunday. Be sure to give your mom a hug. On May 16, we have the Bulky Waste Day event, and Rotary is also teaming up to help out. If you have some items that need extra arms to remove them from where you live, be sure to call Rotary, give them some advance notice, and they'll come help you. But this is an event that will be on May 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it's your opportunity to remove large unwanted items that are difficult to dispose of at your normal curbside bins. So that event is going to take place at the Republic Services Transfer Station that's on Ritter Road. We're also celebrating the Bike Month and Walk and Roll. So I hope that you'll join SMART with group bike rides, challenges, and they'll have events with prize drawings and lots of activities. Check your kids' schools. They probably are announcing that event, and you can also go onto the city website to learn more. DEI Committee is celebrating May as a Jewish American Heritage Month. And this is a time to celebrate our rich tapestry of Jewish culture, traditions, and achievements. May is also the month to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I hope that you'll all take a moment and enjoy your friends and neighbors and help them celebrate. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilor Cunningham.
For those of you who celebrate, may the 4th be with you. At least I could make somebody laugh tonight. Probably the biggest highlight of my last couple of weeks was on April 30th. I got the opportunity, the invitation to go to a place called Hope's Garden. It's a maternity house in Clackamas County, and it's an amazing place. It's fully nonprofit. They're able to house women and their babies who have been the victim of abuse, whether that's a partner or drugs or all the other things that the world can do to people. But it's a beautiful place. It's a place of healing. These women are able to go there when they're pregnant, spend their pregnancies there, to be away from the trauma that surrounds women in too many of those situations, so that they have somewhere safe to have their baby develop and be born and then raise their baby. It's an amazing resource. It's something that it just isn't out there in the public, because probably the biggest reason is because it's a secret and a safe location, so that their abusers can't find them and can't go after them again. And so this opportunity was a fantastic opportunity to get a tour for Aubrey Ann out there and to see what they do firsthand. If anybody's interested in learning more about it, they have a website, growinghopesgarden.org. You can make donations on there. You can be, they really appreciate the monthly recurring donations. It helps them kind of set their budgets. But it's such a fantastic just resource out there for these women that have been able to turn their lives around and put themselves on a path towards gainful employment and raising these babies in a healthy location. So growinghopesgarden.org. So that was really like the big highlight of my week, besides watching my kids play baseball and stuff. Right before this, I saw my kid almost hit a home run at the high school. It was pretty cool. Warning track power kid. So now that I have the floor again, I'm going to finish what I was going to say earlier. So, going through this, the argument's been made that Civics Academy is this grandiose thing that needs to be adhered to for anybody applying for our boards and committees. I disagree. Does anybody in here actually believe that a CPA with 3 decades of experience or a public policy advisor with a 1.5 decades of experience, that it would be harder for them to learn how the city operates than vice versa? Sorry, vice versa. I hate when people say vice versa. Now people are going to say that. I don't think so. I think that when somebody comes and they offer us the gift and the treasure of decades of experience and expertise, to look them in the face and shrug them off like that, I think it's unacceptable. I appreciate a lot of the comments that were made tonight that, on January 22nd, it was said that we were going to have a new process, that we were going to do things differently, and we didn't do them differently. What are these promises? Why do we say these things? Are we just saying them to make them up, to coddle someone for a moment and hope that Councilor Cunningham's just going to forget? Because I'm not. I'm amazed that nobody up here is curious that the fact pattern I laid out, we have people who have spoken out against the city, and we have only one person out of the 7 has ever come to city council and been in support of the policies of the city. Only one out of the 7, and it magically was the one who was chosen for this seat. I want to go to Vegas I want to place that bet in Vegas. That's mind-blowing. 1 out of 7. Whew. I would ask the mayor to polish up on his Robert's Rules of Order as well. When a point of order is made, you are supposed to inquire as to the nature of the point of order. You did not do that. You moved on, and you kept the floor from me. Generally, under Robert's Rules of Order, there's also the two-speech rule, where generally each member is entitled to speak twice on the same motion on the same day. That was not afforded to me. It's a bad look for our city. It's a bad look for this body. If I have criticisms of something, if I have concerns of something, I get to share them, and I get to share them fairly and just as equally as everybody sitting on this board. Just because you don't like what I'm saying, just because it's critical of the way that you are acting and the people you are choosing, the word cronyism got thrown around tonight, and I can't say that I disagree with it. The city deserves better.
Councilor Shevlin.
Thank you. As was mentioned by Council President Barry, she and I had the opportunity to meet with the other fellow members of our Wilsonville Metro Community Enhancement Committee. Both Council President Barry and I believe we agree that it's one of our favorite committees, although the Budget Committee ranks really way up there, pretty high with me as well. We meet once a year and entertain grant requests from members of the community, various groups, could be even something that's going on in the city, to apply grant money to these projects. The grant money actually comes from the fact that that Republic Services has their processing plant here in the city. And so for every the city receives $1 per ton of waste processed at the Wilsonville Republic Services location. And that money then goes into Metro and then is filtered to Wilsonville, where we can decide on the grant money. Now, Metro gets a pretty bad rap sometimes, and people claim they make us do things that we don't want to do, or use funding in ways that some of our citizens may not be interested in. And I'm not here to debate that tonight. I just want to thank Metro for their role in accumulating this money for us and then bringing it back to our city so that we can make decisions about enhancing our community. Some of the projects, and we'll be actually voting on this as part of our consent agenda later this evening, but some of the projects this year were individual study pods in the library for quiet space for individuals to study or to have a conversation online with a physician or other services. Bicycle repair kiosks or stands in 2 areas around the city where people have access to repair their bicycle, pump up a tire, fix a chain, whatever the case may be. Printing additional books about the history of Wilsonville through the Wilsonville Historical Society, and the preservation of over 100 50-year-old oak trees in the Charbonneau community. So, and there were several more, painting the utility boxes, and studies have shown that artists are selected to paint over these boxes instead of just the sort of the gray-green colors, and they're less likely to experience or have graffiti on them. So another way to enhance our community. So thank you to Metro, and thank you to all members of our community that are on the enhancement committee, and we look forward to be able to see some more beauty in our community. I am a little inclined to give us a lesson on statistics and statistical analysis, but I'm not going to give us a whole lesson on that tonight. But most of us had a little bit of stats in our maybe college life, Statistics 101, where we learned how to read a pie chart and learn the difference between an x-axis and a y-axis. But those of us that have had to take advanced statistics realize that we also have to be able to look at data and interpret it in multivariant ways. I'm referring to the community survey about the town center that we held last year, where there were 9 choices that we gave, just variables, to the respondents to be able to say, rank these, where do they stand for you? We could have had 20 variables. It'd be interesting to see how those turned out, but we had 9. Well, not surprising for town center, shops and restaurants ranked right up there at the top. It ranked at the top of mine as well. Then there were other things, walkable areas, bike areas, many different variables to enhance our town center. And yes, housing and variable housing for citizens was part of it. They didn't rank 1 or 2, but that doesn't tell me, through my understanding of advanced statistics, that people don't want housing in town center. We just asked them to rank 9 variables, and those variables did not reach the top. So we have to be careful that we don't use interpreter bias as well. So when we look at the data, we can't look at it and say, well, nobody wants housing in town center. It just didn't rank in the choices that we gave them in the top 2 or 3. Now, interpreter bias is also something you learn in advanced statistics. You have to be aware that we look for the data that we want to see. So we have to be careful how we share that data, because it may be our personal bias that is coloring our decisions. As elected officials for our city, we are charged with the responsibility of balancing the desires, i.e. those variables, of the members of our community with the needs of our community. We all desire those shops and restaurants, perhaps some biking trails, but we need housing. We also need the tax revenue from the houses in order to be able to build that vibrant town center and to attract the type of developers that will build in our town center. Our task as your council is to help our citizens understand that all 9 of those amenities are important in the development of our town center. I challenge all of my fellow councilors to work on finding the balance between desire and need. That's the way I demonstrate leadership in our community, and I call on my fellow councilors to do the same. Thank you.
Councilor Stoll?
Thank you. Let's see, meetings over the last couple weeks here is on April 22nd, I attended the Wilsonville Volunteer Appreciation Event. And publicly, I want to thank all the volunteers out there, commissions, committees, and all the other offline volunteers. I think there was probably 100 or so people there. It was a great event. The Carl group was excellent, and they did a good job in performing, and I thank them for that performance. On April 27th, I attended the Willamette Water Intake Facility board meeting, and the pipeline that's actually wiggled through town here to go north to connect with Sherwood and Tualatin, Hillsborough, and some other cities, is actually just about ready to go online. They figure that this thing will be ready to go. It'll be tested and ready to go sometime about 3rd or 4th quarter of this year. And our next meeting for that is, I hope, a grand opening meeting on October 27th. We've also met with multiple Wilsonville residents around town and basically talked about a lot of different and various subject matter and all that. Next week, or this weekend, next week, the city council meeting tonight, and then the budget meetings are coming up here, so looking forward to that. We'd like to speak finally, and I've been I actually have been a hard no on this 6-362 from the beginning. I think this is my 4th meeting stating that I'm just a hard no. And so I read through the voters pamphlet. Excellent input both on for yay and nay and all that stuff. But the one thing I found kind of interesting is on the yes votes. A lot of the inputs there address the fact that they want to vote for, or everybody wants to vote for urban renewal. I don't disagree with that. Matter of fact, if it's an advisory vote or a binding vote, vote for it. What I don't like about the thing is if you go in and you read the text, there's 6 elements in this text that basically bind this thing up and constipate the whole urban renewal system. And so if we basically go do that and we vote for that, then urban renewal is pretty much a vote of 37 elements each general election cycle. So one large urban renewal project could have 17 votes, and it could space out over how many years. So from a development perspective, from a planning perspective and all that, who's going to pay for the delays? And what happens if a project gets midway through and the voters decide they don't want it? Who's going to pay for the cancellation of the reconstruction or even all the changes that have to be paid for in that? Essentially, I think personally that it would go through a legal process. The city attorney may see differently, but that will probably end up on our nickel to basically clean up and rearrange what the development might be or what it would look like. And so that process itself is the process of those 5 or 6 elements in the middle is what binds that whole system up. Voting for or voting against urban renewal is not the issue in my mind. It's what goes on in the middle paragraphs of this 6-232, and I think it's wrong. I think it's bad for the city, and I think it delays everything, and I think it makes it harder for us to basically do the business that we need to do as the city and to make sure that we're healthy now and we're healthy in the future. So that's my last comment on that, and I thank you. I hope you all vote, and we'll see what happens here in a couple weeks. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is our consent agenda. Will the city attorney please read the items on consent?
Resolution number 3185, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Blue Spruce Builders, Inc. to construct the Wilsonville Community Center Siding Replacement Project, CIP 8161. Resolution number 3251, a resolution of the City of Wilsonville authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Paul Brothers, Inc. for the Memorial Park Ball Field Safety Improvements Project, Capital Improvement Project number 9185. Resolution number 3268, a resolution of the Wilsonville City Council authorizing the city manager to sign Community Enhancement Program intergovernmental agreement between Metro and the City of Wilsonville to accept community enhancement fees and community investment fees through December 31, 2030, and minutes of the April 6 and April 20, 2026 City Council meetings.
Thank you. City Council President Barry, can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move to adopt the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 The motion passes 5-0. We turn now to continuing business. We'll now turn to ordinance number 902. I would ask the city attorney to read the ordinance title.
This is the second reading of ordinance number 902, an ordinance of the City of Wilsonville amending sections 5.035, 5.200, 5.210, and 5.405 of the Wilsonville Code to revise the definition of abandoned vehicles and to reduce the duration allowed for parking on public streets.
Thank you. I'll call to order the Wilsonville City Council on the second reading of ordinance number 902 as has been read. Does any member of council have any questions for staff or the city attorney on ordinance number 902? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion on ordinance number 902?
I move to adopt ordinance number 902 on second reading.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? I'll just say, from my perspective, I already commented on first reading. I thought staff did an excellent job, and I appreciate the city attorney and her staff putting this together. So, hearing no further discussion or commentary, I hereby ask the city recorder to make a roll call vote.
Counselor Shevlin?
Aye.
Council President Barry?
Aye.
Counselor Cunningham?
Aye.
Counselor Skoll?
Aye.
Mayor O'Neill?
Aye. The motion passes 5-0. Is there any city manager business this evening?
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any legal business?
Well, Counselor Cunningham stole my thunder because I was going to offer a May the 4th be with you as well for all those who celebrate.
Really made some people mad.
But that's it for me tonight, Mayor. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The city council meeting's adjourned at 8:27 p.m.